Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and today we have a very special guest. We have Paige from, what do you call yourself? Paige Interior Design, or what is it?
A lot of people call me Design Paige because that's my handle.
Awesome. Well, Paige is an interior designer. Well, how about I let you introduce yourself so that you can accurately portray who you are. But today we're going to be talking about how to style your house with plants, because a lot of people have said that they have a hard time, and myself included. It's a big reason why I started following Paige. I have such a hard time styling plants without it looking like a storage facility or just like a plant nursery, just all plants in a line. And I think that she does a really good job of tastefully adding plants into her interior. So go ahead and tell us, who are you?
I'm an interior designer and I specialize in plant design as well, because I love to incorporate life into my designs. That's the biggest thing for me. So where there is a window, there is a plant in that room. Like, that is my biggest thing. Like, I love to incorporate plants in every design.
Yeah.
So
What brought you to plants?
probably my mom. She always had plants in our home growing up and was a big gardener, and I feel like that's where I got my green thumb, just growing up around plants. And then it all kind of, once I had my own home, I just became addicted. I mean, like you, I go to the greenhouse and I like want them all. I can't leave any plants behind. So yeah, plants are like Pokemon. You got to catch them all is kind of how I feel. And so, so that's kind of what started it. I was surrounded by plants my whole life growing up. And once I had my own home that I was able to fill with plants, I just went nuts. So.
Cool. Okay. I feel like that's like a very common origin story. Parents, and then like we take it on when we have our own place. That's really cool. Paige has compiled 5 tips for us for how to decorate with plants indoors. And also she's helping me with a space in my house. So we're going to go over that today too, just to show you what she does, because this is a service that she provides for online clients. You don't have to be in person. So she's really awesome. I've worked with her virtually before and it was awesome. So we're gonna go over a space in my house that I've been really needing help with. And then, but first we're gonna talk about the tips that she's implementing in my space and what you can implement in yours. So hit us with the first tip, Paige.
So, I mean, with plant styling, first and foremost, I always try to think of these 3 things: levels, texture, and organization. Those are like the biggest words that I just try to always kind of replay in my head while I'm decorating with plants. So like with levels, let's just pretend we're decorating a dresser and we have 4 plants. So we'll put 1 on the right, and then I would do a cluster of 3 on the left. And you want that cluster of 3 to be at different levels. You never want to have all your plants on the same level. You want to maybe bump one up with some books or a bigger pot, something that's taller, or just get different plants have different heights, right? So you have a snake plant that's taller, a philodendron or silver satin pothos is going to be more drapey. So levels are huge when you're decorating with numerous plants. So that's like the first tip, is just look at levels. You want to create different heights and variation with the plant.
Actually, since you just said that, I'm realizing the reason why I've hated this one section of my plant area, because they're all at the same level and it just looks bad. It just like is displeasing, and I could not figure out why. And that just like cracked the, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, all those plants are the same height, and like I did not even know that was why, but it just fell off.
But it's the same with shelf styling. Like anything like that. You don't want everything to be the same, because then there's no 3-dimension. If you had, 1 row of plants here and then another one behind it, that would give you that 3-dimensional appearance. You'd be able to see all of the beautiful leaves and the foliage coming through.
Wow. Okay, so, and then texture variation. Oh my gosh, my mind is blown. Like, you just cracked the code. So texture variation, so different plants next to each other.
Yeah, so I mean, that's obviously another tip, variation and different textures, especially if you're decorating with more than 1 plant, obviously. So you don't want to have all the same looking plants and leaves, which most plants do have some differentiation in their leaves. But you never want to have the same next to each other. So, for example, I don't know, like you want to have your silver satin pothos next to a Hoya carnosa. They have very different leaves and textures next to each other would be beautiful. And then like an air plant maybe in front. Because again, an air plant's got that really soft green tone to it. So you just want to incorporate, groupings that are different texturally and visually with their leaves. Look at you.
Just like, okay, I'm going to take over. Talking about leaf texture?
Yeah, leaf texture, exactly.
Okay, I'm going to implement that in that little area, like move some things around and see if that fixes this weird feeling that I had about the spot. I'll keep you updated too.
And that's the fun of it too. It's like play around. Now that like use those tips, use those words, and then just play around with your space and you may just end up loving it. It's really hard not to overcrowd when you are plant people like us, because I sometimes struggle with that. If you want to have a room that you designate to overcrowding, because I have one in the winter, nobody goes in there because it looks like a mess. But for the main space where you have people, where you have guests, don't overcrowd. You want things to look purposefully placed. And of course, covering, the words that we were going over, levels, texture, organization. You want things to look like they were meant to be there and they have a spot. Not this huge cluster mess of plants like I have in my back room in the winter. We don't show anybody that room because it is not designed well, let's just say that. And then I always say, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, if there's a window, there should be a plant. That is something that I tell clients. Even if you are not a really good plant mom, even a fake plant, a good fake plant, I don't care, but it brings in greenery and I feel like it just makes the world of a difference. For example, we just finished our basement and there's no natural light down there. And I had it all decorated without any fake plants or real ones. Obviously can't have any real ones down there. And I'm like, it's not finished. Something's off. There's no greenery down here. So I marched my little happy butt to the store and I found a couple really kind of real looking fake plants. And once I put those down there, I'm like, holy crap, like this is what it was missing. So anyway, if you have a window, have a real plant because you can. And if you don't, implement a fake one. Fake air plants look really real. On a shelf and things like that. So,
okay. I was going to say, like, fake plants is sort of a big debate in the plant community. Like, is this weird or is this something that we should do? Because obviously you don't want to put a plant in a place where it's not going to succeed. Where have you found the best fake plants?
Crate and Barrel has beautiful, really real looking air plants. I have gotten a couple of air plants from there. They're not super expensive. They're definitely like under $20. But I have really good luck at Target in the Studio McGee line. My fake tree that I bought for the basement actually was from Target Studio McGee line. And again, the prices are fairly reasonable there. But those are probably the two stores that I have the best luck. Pottery Barn actually has a very real Orbifolia. I think that's how you pronounce that one right there. Right? But they have an extremely realistic looking Orbifolia at Pottery Barn.
Wait, that's fake?
This is real. This is real.
Okay, wait. I was like, that looks so real.
Yeah, this is real. But Pottery Barn has this plant in a fake version that I literally had to go up and feel to believe that it was fake. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah, so there are some decent plants that you can get that are fake that look really real, but there's not a ton out there. So those are three stores that I would suggest, if you have a basement like me that you're like, oh my God, I need greenery down there, but there's no windows. That's a great option for you. But upstairs, fake plants aren't allowed for me. I have all the real ones up here because I have a lot of windows. So
yeah. Yeah. Every house is obviously going to have a different feel. Everyone has their own personal style. So how would you suggest like incorporating that into your house plants?
Obviously, you always want to look around at your home, check out, okay, what vibe do I have going? Am I a colorful lover? Or are you a little bit more like me, very neutral? I have a lot of grays, whites, creams, and of course greenery going. But you want to implement that with your planters because you don't want like a ton of orange terracotta and colorful planters if you are more of a neutral lover. So actually, for example, I have one right here. White terracotta pots are very in now, and same with brown. And so I like to implement a lot of the white terracotta and the brown terracotta throughout my home because it just goes with my overall vibe a little bit better. And of course, I do have a couple vintage orange terracotta as well. And you can implement that if you're a neutral lover, but not too much. I just say like a little pop of orange there, a little over there, you know, along with your neutral. If you're a colorful person, terracotta all the way. Like I love a good orange terracotta. See? Exactly.
I love the orange terracotta. I think my vibe is very like earthy. So like earthy neutrals, like greens and browns and oranges. I think that's what I'm realizing is my like color palette, which has taken a long time to figure out. That's what I like.
And I love orange terracotta too. So I do try to put little pops of it throughout. As well as mix. I have some white planters. I have some cement ones, the gray like cement. Again, just kind of look around at your overall style because the planter matters. That's half of it, you know, because you want everything to flow. And if you want to implement, you know, a bunch of different planters, just try to do like every other, you know, don't have all the same color next to each other.
That's another issue with this space that I'm thinking of. It's all terracotta. And I was like, if that, oh my gosh, I'm like getting the ick.
There really is no right or wrong. I'm just giving you the tips and tricks that I kind of follow when I style my own home with my plants. If you throw in, like switch out a couple of those terracottas with, you know, the white or the brown terracotta or some cement pots or whatever, you probably have a whole mess of planters in your stash that you can kind of switch things out with.
I have so many. I have like a whole stack over there, different colors and variations. I mean, when you are starting out, I'm thinking about myself because this is very new to me to even like think about my plants stylistically in my home.
Styling.
And I was just like, plants, I love them, all of them. And then it occurred to me like, I want it to look nice because like I like my spaces to look put together and you know, I tend to like skimp out on purposeful. That's a great word for it. I want it to look like I'm doing this on purpose. It's not like I'm just haphazardly collecting every plant that I see. So that's a really great tip. Because I mean, you gotta kind of like disguise the fact that you do that.
Exactly.
And it doesn't even have to be expensive planters. Like that white terracotta is probably like only.
Oh my God. I don't even know if it's a ton more. I get mine. I mean, Stein's is not apparently a well-known store. It's only in the Midwest. I've learned.
Stein's.
Okay. That's where Stein's Garden and Home is what it's called. But apparently, because I have a lot of, you know, friends message me, oh, we don't have a Stein's where we live. And I'm like, shoot, because that's where I get all of my different colored terracotta. I wonder if you could even get them on Amazon. You probably could.
Oh, probably. You can get everything on Amazon. All right, so what else do you have for us? We're almost done, I think.
Yeah, the last tip is make it fun, pretty much. Make it you. Don't overthink it. Buy what you love at the store, and then once you get home, then start to, you know, put the things together and, you know, think of those 3 words, like levels, texture, organization. You know, I just say make it fun and buy what you love. Like, oh, I love this plant because that's what I do. You are not gonna convince me otherwise. I am at that store and I freaking love that plant. I'm buying that plant. And when I get home is when I will decide where we're gonna go with it. And my husband gives me a hard time because I walk in with a plant and he's like, where are you gonna go with that? Like, you do not need another plant. And I'm like, trust me, we will find a place. Like,
Yeah.
going over all these tips, it's like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. Look at your space and be like, oh my gosh, no wonder it looks goofy there. I'm not creating levels or whatever. So that's pretty much my last tip.
Goofy is a very generous phrase for what that area looks like.
Whatever. You know, just a mess, I guess, if you want to call it a mess. You can make it look less of a mess by using, I guess, those few words.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, for
more
sure.
Purposeful. That's like the word of the day. Make it look more purposeful, right?
Just thinking about it, I have never really thought about like the texture thing, and I have so many different leaf textures in my home, so I feel like that would be very easy to do because, you know, unless you're
100%.
buying like 50 pothos or like 50 sansevieria or snake plants, there's really like no excuse to not have that different texture and variety.
Exactly.
Like even among Hoyas, there's like so many different leaf shapes and textures and colors. So, all right, so that concludes part 1 of this video. I hope that you got some goodness from this tip, all these tips from Paige. I know that I did. I mean, I've been chatting with Paige for a while and I still learned so many things just now. So we are going to take a brief pause and we will be back with some plant styling tips in the works within a space of my own. So we'll see you after the commercial break. All right, welcome back everybody. We are now onto the plant styling section where Paige helps me design an area in my house with plants in mind because this area has been plaguing me since I moved in. I haven't touched it. I basically just like put something that the previous owner left as a holding piece before I figured out what I wanted to do. So Paige has helped me. So let's see what she would do with my space. I'll roll a clip of what it looks like before, and then I'm gonna put up a photo, and then she's going to explain what she suggests for my space. Okay, so this is the area that we're working with. I have this big long wall that I have no idea what to do with. And as I mentioned before, I'm thinking of doing a long console table that is like this entire width of the window. But other than that, I don't really have any plans. And basically, I want it to be an area where I can put my plants, like in the winter, especially like all my ficus trees, I want them to be in here. And then I have these plants that I would like to remain in here as well. So the console table would be like a plant stand and a storage unit for all my fabric that's right here. Hopefully also my printer and just some like sewing stuff that I have here. So that's basically the situation. I have curtains that I bought. It's these ones from IKEA. I need to put them up. I haven't done that yet, but I am gonna have curtains just to diffuse the light, or just like because I think that's what windows should have. But other than that, I don't have anything in specific. But the rest of the room doesn't really have like much decor. I've done these bookshelves, and then I have my desk, of course. And then this wall is pretty much the style of the room. So kind of like thrifted, eclectic, gold accents type of thing. So I'd love to have something similar to this over here with like a similar vibe. But yeah, that's what's going on.
You explained that you wanted some storage. So what we decided on was to do a big console piece underneath the window. And on that console, of course, we will probably display a few plants with, of course, our tips. And then the two, for sure we're gonna do that. And then there's a couple of ways to go about the rest of the space. So my first option would be, and this is up to you, you get to select which one of these options is gonna speak to you. When I do virtual plant styling for clients, I like to give a couple of options because chances are you're for sure gonna love one and you're probably not gonna dig the other one. So anyway, so the first option, we're for sure doing the console because you expressed wanting that. And then the other option would be to hang a curtain rod across about 2 inches from your ceiling. So it would actually go across the entire space. And then we would do probably 4 curtain panels, 2 on each side, just to kind of bulk up that curtain. Because you do have quite a bit of space there between the window and the wall.
Yeah.
So it would kind of look like a grand hotel vibe with the curtain rod going all the way to the ceiling. And then with that curtain rod, we would hang some plants from it below where the window is so that it gets that adequate light. So again, this would be for if you have plants that need a lot of light. You're gonna want that curtain rod because then you can display plants hanging and we can display plants on that dresser. So that would be option one. I think it would look beautiful. And then the option two, if you're like, I'm not really digging hanging a curtain rod in that room, not really what I want to do, or if you just don't have really any hanging plants that you want. The other option would be we could do like 3 wall planters hung kind of at different heights on either the right or the left. It really wouldn't matter. And of course we would have probably pothos or something that doesn't need a ton of light because I think you mentioned that's a south-facing window or not.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a south window.
And we could even do a propagation wall too. We could buy some test tubes from CB2, kind of similar to what I did in my space. I feel like you'd get enough light for a propagation wall if it's a south window.
Yeah.
Because you have that light bouncing off of the walls. And obviously you get to kind of decide what you want to implement and what you think you'll utilize the best. Like what you already have plants. Because I don't want you to have to go out and buy more plants.
What if, like, in a world I implemented both? Would that be too much?
We could do that. We would just probably do one curtain panel, stuff, you know, there's more space on those side walls. We would just simplify it.
Yeah. So it's not like a ton on that wall.
Too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
If we were going to implement both, I would do like probably one curtain panel on each side. I would probably say nix the artwork and do a tall plant or tree on like the left, for example. And then on the right, I would either say, yeah, like 8 propagation tubes and or like 2 to 3 wall planters.
Okay, so fun. I'm really excited to implement this and show you guys what happens in the process. That will be part 3 of this video. We're gonna make it a 3-part video. So thank you very much for joining us on the channel today. If you are ever interested in checking out Paige and her design services, she's amazing, so fun to work with, really sweet. I will have all of her information linked down below.
Look forward to working with any of you, and I just appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I will see you guys for part 3 of this video, and don't forget to check out Paige's information and give her a round of applause in the comments below because she's awesome and has been such a important and big part of styling my home. So thank you again, Paige, and we'll see you over on Instagram. Hello everybody, we are gearing up for part 3 of this video, and this is the last part. I have already done some work in this room, so I'm going to insert that footage here. Okay, so last night I hung the curtains and they look really cute. Paige told me to move both of the panels to the side here, so I'm gonna do that. My propagation tubes should be arriving tomorrow, so I'll be able to hang those up and take some fun snips. Now I just need to hem the curtains because the ones that I got a long time ago were just way too long. I knew that I would need really long curtains, but that was before I started working with Paige on this room, so I didn't really know, you know, what the length I would need because I don't know anything about this stuff. So I'm looking at it and I see that I probably need to cut it off like probably around right here. And then I'll use my sewing machine to hem it up. My dogs are playing in the background. So I'll need to do that to all 4 panels, which is not a big deal because I know how to sew. Just for a little tutorial on hemming curtains, you're going to want to mark while they're hanging up where you want them to fall on the ground. I wanted mine to have just a little bit of drape, but not too much, so I pinned where I wanted it to end. Right there. And now the last thing that I have to do is hang up some propagation tubes. So I did purchase these from CB2. I think they were like $5 for 2 of them or something like that. And they're just like little beaker test tubes, and I'm going to be putting them on this wall behind the bed because ultimately I decided to go with making this entire wall just a wall of curtains. I wanted it to feel very luxe. And although I was a little bit concerned about the curtain situation. Like, it just seemed like a lot of curtain. It looks amazing, so I just am obsessed with it. I can't stop looking at it. It makes this room feel huge. It makes the ceilings feel so much taller. So if you are ever like, I don't know, on the fence about a certain design choice, I would say that curtains hung all the way up to the ceiling is a great choice. It just makes the room feel huge, and just like having the big curtains, practicality wise, it doesn't make sense because I can't really close them, but everyone who ever stays in this room says that it doesn't matter because the light doesn't really come in here in the morning anyway. I'm having to sort of set aside my practical side and be like, no, it's just beautiful, and I'm happy that I went with what I did. So now I just have to hang up these test tubes and go around and do some snipping, and then we'll be done with the space. All right, so I have my propagation tubes. I have 2 peperomia leaves. I have some prayer plant, ZZ, Sansevieria. I always think that Sansevieria looks so beautiful in propagation tubes. A little bit of cane begonia, and then this is a Hoya that I've had in water for actually a very long time. So this wall is completely done, although I would like to get one more to put right here. I, for some reason, thought that I was gonna do 3 on top, 3 on the bottom, but it looks much better to have 4, so I'm just gonna see if I can order 1. I might have to order a 2-pack though, but we'll see. So at that point, the side of the room that I worked with Paige is done, and I'm going to make the bed, and I'm going to show you and talk you through it. So this room is our guest room, and I really wanted it to feel cozy, but also functional because this is the room that I do most of my sewing in. I do a lot of working in here as well. Basically, it's a room that holds a lot of responsibility, so I felt like I really wanted it to feel very curated and nice in here, so that's why I reached out to Paige. And I am honestly so thrilled with how this worked out. My fabric has a place to live that is hidden and secure. You know, they're not gonna get faded from the sun. It's also not a ton of prints and colors just in your face. I just love this cabinet. It is from Target. I'll have everything linked down below that I can as well. It's probably the only place in my house that feels finished, which is a really good feeling after living here for an entire year. It took me a long time to figure out my personal style, like my personal style with my home decor, and then my personal style with how to incorporate plants into all of that. So I really hope that this video was helpful for you if you are finding yourself in a similar situation where you love plants and you've collected so many, and maybe you're in a point now where you want it to look more a part of your home. Maybe you want your house to look like a house with plants and not a house that is a greenhouse. I love that my space now feels intentional and thoughtful, and I definitely look like a plant person, but I don't look like an out of control plant person. So I think that Paige offered so many good tips, and I'm excited to continue to show you how my spaces transform now that I know all of these lessons from Paige. So again, thank you very much, Paige, for being on my channel. I will have all of her information linked down below in the description box. If anything, just follow her on Instagram because she has a really beautiful page, and Paige has a beautiful page and gives a lot of great tips for plants and styling and everything else. So thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the subscribe button if you haven't already. Give this video a like so I know that you like this kind of content, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Oh my gosh, this is so exciting because now I feel like I have another place to film. Like I could film videos right here in this spot because there's plants in the background. I don't know. I just love it.